Hello children, welcome back to the English classes. Yeah, all the 12th standard students, hope you are doing all your homework regularly, because children, you cannot waste time. Okay, this is just a reminder that please continue with your studies, because all the online sessions might not be repeated in the classrooms. Okay, your doubts will definitely be solved in the classrooms, but see to it that you don't waste your time, and please regularly complete your lessons at the regular basis. Okay, whatever notes been given by the teachers, it is for you to complete it and do a revision session on your own. Okay, now children, our English area, that is we have completed one lesson in Flamingo and one poem in Flamingo with one Vistas chapter in the supplementary reading. Okay, so today starting with another chapter, that is the second chapter from Flamingo, The Lost Springs. And the story, The Lost Spring, is related to the story of stolen children, stories of stolen childhood, we can say. That is the stories which are related to the children who are like you are the children who are enjoying their childhood children. Okay, so you all got the opportunity, that is God is blessed, God has blessed you with all the opportunities in your life. He has given you everything in your life. Your parents, your grandparents, your studies, you get each and everything in your life before you tell to your parents. Okay, so you are enjoying each and every bit of your childhood till now. That is, this is your childhood has already passed, children, but you will remain a child for your parents, and yes, for the teachers also, becoming matured. So maturity, sometimes, that is get to know when we get to know the backgrounds of some children, they are really pathetic children. It is very sympathetic that some children, it's not some children, there are so many kids in this world who are suffering, who is not living their childhood, who has not got the opportunity to live their childhood because of some or the other circumstances that they are living up to. So these children, the God has blessed you with each and everything, but there are some students, there are some children, there are some kids, those who are not getting this life opportunity. The life is not beautiful for them at all, children. So this is the story of that kind of kids, those who are rag pickers. There are two different stories in this chapter, children. One story is of a rag picker. What is a rag picker, children? You might have seen the children who are getting a bag on their shoulders, and they pick up all the dust from the roadside or the dump areas, garbage dump areas, and they collect the this kacharas, okay, that is the dirts and all these things, and they go to the pastiwalas or the people who take their things, that is plastics or plastic bottles. They then differentiate all these dust or the particles, and then they go to for their living children. They are not enjoying, but they are supposed to do this for just means for their livelihood. They do it because they have to have something in their tummy. So these are the children who are the rag pickers, and the writer, that is Annie Jung, is the writer. She is writing the story about this children who is giving the world, who is showing the world the example of how the childhood is. It's a realization for the children like you also, and the people or the kids who are enjoying each and every bit of their life today. But if you just think of, or if you see on the roads while traveling, you can see so many kids on the roads who are not given the opportunity to study, or they are not living a life like what you are living. So what about them? So here the writer Anis Jung is writing this story. Anis Jung has given us two stories of children from the deprived background. Deprived background means they are not, they do not have the substantiality to live. That is, they are not living a good life. The first is about the rag pickers from Simapuri, an outskirt of Delhi, and the next is the bangle makers of Firozabad. So here are two stories that Anis Jung gives us an example of how the kids, how the people are living, and just because of the adults who are living like this, the children are also getting the same background. Why? Because they are like bangle industry and all. We shall just go to it. Let me read from the very beginning. Every morning the narrator met Sahib, a rag picker, and his friends searching for the gold in the garbage dumps near her neighborhood. So here the narrator is meeting Sahib. Sahib is the name of the character, that is the name of the child over here, who along with his friends go to the garbage dumps and they are picking up the, it is ironical saying that they are picking up the gold. What is their gold? The gold is the garbage dump. The gold they are searching out from them, and then they used to sell that, and then they get the money for that. Okay, it is the gold for them. So here every morning the narrator met Sahib, a rag picker, and his friends searching for the gold in the garbage dumps near her neighborhood. Sahib's family was from Bangladesh, but they had left their home a long time ago. Storms had washed away their fields and homes, so they were living in total poverty. They had come to Delhi with the hope for a better life. So the story of Sahib is his family has migrated. So he was living in in Bangladesh, and there because of the storms and the heavy rains had washed away their fields and homes, and so they migrated from that area and they had come to Delhi thinking that there might be something which we can do in this new city and we can develop ourselves. But the development is this one. They wanted to get out of this total poverty, but they couldn't. They are still in some area where they have not yet progressed. They had come to Delhi with the hope of a better life. They had come to Delhi thinking that Delhi would give some better for them. So here the writer asked Sahib why he didn't go to school. He said that there was no school near his house. The writer jokingly promised to open a school, and Sahib readily agreed to join it. After a few days, Sahib asked her if she had opened the school. The author was very embarrassed at having made a false promise. She realized that such false promises are made to such children almost every day. So here, when the author asked Sahib that why don't you go to school, in that the child said that he doesn't have a school in his area. So the narrator just jokingly said that okay, I'll do one thing, I will just open a school for you, and would you be coming to school then? He readily agreed and said, yeah, I will be coming to the school. After some days, might be he had met the narrator once again, and he asked, did you open a school? And at that moment, the narrator was very embarrassed. Embarrassed means she was not able to answer anything because she just said jokingly, and she was not able to give him a proper reply to what he asked. So that is why she's saying that no, these children are on everyday basis, these children are given false promises. So we should not do that. Okay, if you cannot give them anything, do not make false promises to anyone in your life, children. Okay, so here, after some months of knowing him, the writer asked Sahib his full name. He said it was Sahib-e-Alam, which meant Lord of the Universe. She felt that Sahib was unaware of the meaning of his name, and he roamed with his gang barefooted on the streets. The author curiously asked why they didn't wear chappals. One replied that his mother did not bring them down from the shelf. Another said he wanted shoes. So when these children, we are so lucky that our parents provide us with each and every bit of your life, each and every happiness of your life. Before you ask them, they give you each and everything. You are all blessed with each and everything, children, but it is not for all the kids living in this world. Some are not given this opportunity. Some children are not lucky enough to have this opportunity of life. So be blessed. Be thankful to the God that you are being given everything. You are being blessed by all the happiness of the world. So here the narrator says that why these children do not put up the chappals, because they do not have the chappals to wear, children. They cannot buy a pair of chappals for themselves. So the child says, no, I do not like chappals, I do not like chappals to wear. I like shoes. And some child said that no, my mother has kept it on the shelf. She has not given me yet because it is up on the shelf. These are all excuses, children, to what the narrator is asking, and the children over there gives the lame excuses. Okay. So here, while moving across the country, the writer has been seeing many children walking barefoot. One of the explanations was that it was a tradition. So some children said that it was a tradition of walking barefoot, and not the lack of money. They said it's not lack of money. We do not want to wear it because it's a tradition that we do not wear the shoes. So here he says, the author asked curiously that why didn't these children wear the chappals? She wondered what if that there was just an excuse to explain some people's continuous state of poverty. The author remembered a man from Udupi who was a young boy would pass a temple where his father was a priest and pray for a pair of shoes. 30 years later, the writer visited his town, and behind the temple there was the house of a new priest. Annis noticed that the young boy of the priest was wearing shoes. The writer was reminded of the boy who prayed that he should never lose his shoes. The goddess had granted the prayer, as most of the young boys in that place now had shoes to wear, but the rag picker in the neighborhood still remained barefooted. So here, this was a small short story of a man from Udupi whose dad was a priest he was the priest in the temple, and almost every day he used to go to the temple, and in front of the temple he stood there and said that I want a pair of shoes. After 30 years, when this narrator visited the same place, she saw that the child was wearing a pair of chappals, a pair of shoes almost. So Annis noticed that the young boy of the priest was wearing shoes. Okay, sorry, not chappals, he was wearing shoes. So the writer went to Simapuri on the outskirts of Delhi, where the rag pickers lived in slums. Though near Delhi, it seemed miles away because it was not developed. So though we are talking, the story is from Delhi, but we are not talking about exact location of Delhi. It is miles and miles away from Delhi. It was the home to 1 lakh rag pickers like Sahib, who were in fact Bangladeshi refugees whose families came to India to settle since 1971. So children, here they have migrated, and there are almost 1 lakh Bangladeshis. 1 lakh Bangladeshis. Sorry children, now the figure is 10,000. It was a home to 10,000 rag pickers. 10,000. Sorry, it is not 1 lakh, it is 10,000. So here near Delhi, these miles and miles away, this 10,000 people are staying over here without without any progress in their life. They are still the rag pickers, and they are all from Bangladesh refugees who have come to India since 1971. They lived in mud huts with roofs of tin and tarpaulin. They had no running water and no drainage. They had no identity. Yet the children also did the rag picking. Sorry, children. They lived in mud huts with roofs of tin and tarpaulin. They did not have any running water and no drainage. They lived in mud huts with. They had no identity, yet they had managed ration cards, so they are able to at least buy food grains. They preferred to live where food was available. So this is the condition of the people who are living over here, children. So you can just imagine how the people are just in for 1 or 2 hours. If we do not have running water in our home, we really go mad, saying, oh my god, the life has come to a standstill without water. But here, children, these people, about 10,000 people, are living in the area where there are no roofs on their head. It's only the tin shade, that is, it's only the shades made of tin and tarpaulin, which is made as a roof, and they are not being given any kind of water supply is not there. There is no drainage facility in their area. So this is the pathetic condition in which they are living, children. So we can just imagine how the people are still living in these kind of conditions. So here the narrator is saying the children also did the same work, that is, they are also doing the rag picking, because here the people are not able to survive their conditions of hunger. How could they give the education or something good for the children? The children are also living in the same lifestyle. So here the children are also doing the rag picking for survival. Over the years, rag picking had become an art. Garbage was gold to these rag pickers. So here the garbage. So the children also did the rag picking for their survival. Over the years, rag picking had become an art. Garbage was gold to these rag pickers. It was their only support and means of income. Sahib told the author that sometimes he found a rupee, even a 10 rupee note. Anis realized that garbage held a different meaning to both the parents and children over here. For parents, it was the source of their livelihood, providing them with food and shelter. For children, it was wrapped in wonder. So here, this is the description of the rag picking children. So they are doing each and every work of rag picking, so that it's a livelihood for their parents also, for themselves also. So they are just giving a helping hand to themselves also, for their parents also. So one winter morning, the writer saw Sahib outside the fenced gate of the neighborhood club. He was watching the game of tennis. Sahib seemed to be fascinated by the game. He liked these children who are doing this work of rag picking. They are not at all being given the facility, or they are not being given any opportunities in the life, because their opportunities are just limited to what they are doing till now. So he was very fascinated looking at the football or the people playing around. So one winter morning, he saw Sahib outside the fenced gate of the neighborhood club. He was watching a game of tennis. Sahib seemed to be fascinated by the game. He told the writer that sometimes the guard let him go inside the area, and he liked to ride the swings. The author noticed that Sahib was wearing tennis shoes which someone had given him. He didn't mind wearing someone's discarded shoes with the hole. For him, it was the dream come true. So here, children, once Sahib was wearing a pair of shoes, and it was not a good one, it was a torn one, but he did not mind wearing that torn shoes Did not mind wearing that torn shoes, because this was something, a dream come true, to wear a pair of shoes in his leg. Poor child, who is still wanting to play these kind of games, but they are not allowed to. So somebody had discarded, some child might have come to play over there, and somebody might have left their shoes over there because they had it was not good, it was discarded means it was not good, and they threw away. So this pair of shoes this child had taken, and he had the dream come true, a feeling of dream had come true to him, because he was wearing a pair of shoes on his leg. So for him it was a dream come true. Then one morning the writer saw Sahib on his way to the milk booth. He was carrying a steel canister. He informed her that he had started working at the tea stall. He was being paid rupees 800 and was given all his meals also. So however, Sahib didn't look happy. His face has lost his carefree look. Why? The steel canister seemed heavier than the plastic bag he had carried while scrounging the garbage. Sahib was no longer his own master, but had to do as the owner told him to do at the tea stall. So here he is happy. He was happy about being a rat picker. Right now he said to his to the narrator that I am working at a tea stall where I am being paid rupees 800 and all my meals are free over here. But he did not had that carefree look on his face, said the narrator. Why? Because he was very carefree when he was a rat picker, and he had he was happy doing that job. Having that job was like, he used to enjoy it because he had been doing since so many years. There he was master of his own. If he wanted to do the job, he would do it, or otherwise he didn't want it. He was the master of his own. But here, while he was working with the tea stall owner, he had to obey what the tea stall owner had to used to tell him. So he was not having that carefree look on his face. So he's saying that that rack picking bag is more lifting up that tin, that is the what we say, the canister was more heavier than the plastic bag which he used to carry on his shoulder. So he said, I was used to enjoy that rag picking only. So here is the story, children, where it's a sad story, where this is the reality of so many kids, children. Here the narrator has only given us so many examples. She has only described 2 stories, wherein the first story is of the rag picker. We have finished with this story, and next session we will have the next story, children. Till then, goodbye and take care. And for this summary, I'll send you the summary as soon as possible, children. Okay? And you would all take care of yourself and your parents too. Thank you.